We are coming to you from the city beautiful Chicago, Illinois. Where tonight? WGN Sports on My 50 presents White Sox baseball. This was Jose Abreu, Avi Garcia, Melky Cabrera and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with the 2015 division champion, Kansas City Royals. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson with Steve Stone as we get set to bring you the final 6 games of the season here at home. We'll have 3 with these guys, then finish it off with 3 against the Tigers. So the Sox coming back off that 10-day, 11-game road trip where we were 4-7. These games don't mean anything to us, and even though Kansas City has clinched the division, they're still important for them.
It's certainly very important when you look at the home and road records of both teams that are fighting for that #1 spot in the American League, and that's Toronto and Kansas City. Take a look at Toronto. They've won 53 games at home. Kansas City's won 51 games at home. And as you can see right now as we speak, Kansas City, 1 game back of Toronto, but Toronto has a tiebreaker. So Kansas City, each and every game is of critical importance. Both of these teams are about 500 teams on the road. So that home field advantage, a big one.
Well, both the starters tonight, Samardzija for us and Cueto for them, have had tough Septembers, but last time out, Jeff was terrific, but still, they got something to prove.
There's no doubt that both of them have things to prove as they both entertain free agency at the end of this year. And Jeff Samardzija really suffered for a while, as did Johnny Cueto. Cueto was acquired from Cincinnati to start the first game of every playoff series. But he hasn't thrown like it since he's come over to Kansas City. But last time out, he faced Seattle, threw the ball very well, went 7 innings, gave up 3 earned runs. Jeff Samardzija had a very tough time in August and the beginning of September, but last time out, couldn't get any better. 1 bloop hit away from a perfect game, and Victor Martinez dumps it into left field. That was it, the only base runner they had. So both of these guys going against teams that have given them problems. Jeff Samardzija 0-5 his career against the Royals. Johnny Cueto, his ERA is close to 8 with his career against our Sox. Should be a good one tonight, both of them coming off very strong performances.
Well, let's throw a little pride and win this ball game. So sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
Cellular Field. We've got a few minutes before tonight's game between the Royals and the White Sox. Last season, Jose Abreu, for the first time, played in a full major league season. Earlier tonight, Robin Ventura talked about how Jose was handling the length of the MLB season both this year and last.
It's still a long year. I mean, it's a long year for anybody, but he has a better understanding of how to get through it. That he was more prepared for it this year, I think, than he was last year. But you know, the season's long for anybody. I think you know, there's no way around it, and I think for him, he just has a better mentality of how to get through it. I think it's not only physical, but it's mental, and mentally he was prepared for it.
Remember, Abreu is still 1 homer and 3 RBI away from making baseball history. Will tonight be that night? Stay tuned. We'll be back with the lineup of the first pitch after these messages. Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Let's take a look at how Ned Yost is going to line up his Royals for the game tonight. Ben Zobrist leading it off, and Alex Gordon in a 2 spot with Lorenzo Cain, Eric Hosmer, Kendrys Morales, who's having a big year, Mike Moustakas, Salvador Perez, Alex Rios, and Alcides Escobar in the 9th spot. The defense and how they'll line up behind Jeff Samardzija: Trace Thompson, Adam Eaton, and Abisail Garcia left to right in the outfield with Mike Holt, Lexi Ramirez, Carlos Sanchez, and Jose Abreu in the infield. Giovanni Soto behind the plate, and Jeff Samardzija on the hill looking for his 11th win. His ERA up over 5. He'd like to get that down. This is 32nd start. He's gone over 200 innings at 207. He's fanned 160 men, and he's given up 27 home runs because he's around the plate with just about everything. The umpires for the game tonight. Behind the plate, Adam Hamari, Angel Hernandez is at first, Chris Conroy is at second, and Ted Barrett is at third. So Kansas City bearing down on each and every game. Ned Yost took this team to the 7th game of the World Series, only to lose it. And he's looking for just one more win over what they tacked on last year. So they're throwing the ball around the infield on a very cool and breezy night. It's 59 degrees at the ballpark, and that means we're ready to play baseball. I'm ready to turn over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
All right, Steve, thank you. And once again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball right here over WGN Sports My 50. First of a 3-game set. And here is Ben Zobrist, switch hitting all-purpose player tonight at second base. And there's first pitch strike. Zobrist comes in at 279, 13 homers, 54 driven in. Royals hitting at 269 as a ball club. That's very good. That ball hit very hard and very foul. They also have a very fine 3.79 team ERA. They also have 100 stolen bases and 134 attempts. And they have hit 133 home runs. So their offense has been there. And of course, they are the namesakes for the Kansas City Special.
They will put the bat on the ball. There's very few of them that's going to strike out a lot. They only have 2 guys that have fanned over 100 times. One of them, Hosmer. The other, Kendrys Morales. Morales, a prolific run producer. He's driven in 105.
And that is foul back. This is the 17th meeting of the year between these two clubs. In the first 16, we have won 6.
Ned Yost had to change his lineup. We saw Escobar leading off, and he did that for most of the year, but he's got an on-base percentage under 300. And Ned decided that he was going to change that lineup. So, poof, there's Zobrist at the top.
Yeah, the only team in Major League Baseball has struck out fewer than 1,000 times, and they will finish up this season at fewer than 1,000 times. Way ahead of everybody else in the least amount of strikeouts. Another foul ball. So this will be the 7th pitch coming up. Zobrist has faced Samardzija twice. He's 0 for 2.
That was a secret last time for Jeff Samardzija. Number 1, he didn't hang any sliders. Number 2, he moved the ball in and out, up and down, and he controlled all 4 quadrants. This is a good fastball. Catches the bottom of the plate on the inside corner, and Zobrist caught looking.
Very seldom when you see a guy go out there and not hang a breaking ball in a game.
Yeah, I mean, that was a magnificent performance.
The older fans out there will remember the great Hall of Fame left-hander for the Yankees, Whitey Ford. And Whitey, when I first came into the American League back in 1963, Whitey had a reputation. Can I check it up as Alex Gordon? And that was, he doesn't hang any breaking balls. He was a legend. They say he would pitch sometimes the whole month without hanging one.
I couldn't get through an inning without hanging one, let alone a whole month.
Well, that's all you threw, though.
It's true.
That's a pretty good reputation to have.
Gordon was hurt a good portion of this year. A very severe groin injury. Now he's back, and he's pretty healthy.
And there's the base hit. So he is now 2 for 6 lifetime. Alex came in hitting at .271 with 12 homers and 46 knocked in. And there was a cookie he got.
This is right down the middle, and Gordon, too good a hitter to miss one of these. A lot of people figure as they head into the playoffs that Gordon probably will hit at the top of the order once again. They tried that with him, and it worked pretty well. Then he got hurt. Now they've moved him around some.
So here's Kane, the center fielder, at 308, 16 homers, 71 driven in. He's 4 for 7 lifetime off Samardzija. Takes first pitch strike at 93.
There was a time when Gordon could run, but with the leg problems, that's been kept to a minimum. 2 stolen bases in 7 attempts.
Yeah, when you got a groin problem, you don't want to be stealing any bases.
Not as much as he means to this team.
Well, he's the face of this ball.
Yeah, he is a really good player. Originally a third baseman, the 2nd player picked in the country out of Nebraska, the University of, and made the adjustment. 4 straight Gold Gloves in left field for the former third baseman.
That's into right field. That's a can of corn for Ivy. Well, against us the last 4 seasons, Alex Gordon hadn't even come close to misplaying ball.
Nope.
And you figure over 19 games each year, the last 4 years, that's 76 ball games. That's pretty good.
He is all that.
There's Hosmer at 300, 16 homers, 88 knocked in. Way out in front of the changeup.
Last year, Hosmer hit .270 and drove in 58 runs. When you look at those numbers and you realize what he's meant to this team and factor in one of the great gloves in all of baseball at first, he's a big part of their success.
Well, there's one as good, but there's nobody better at first base than he is. But the other guy's on the DL.
He's lost for the year if you're talking about Mark Teixeira.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah, those two. It's gotten to the point today, if you're not quick enough at the corners, the team's in trouble. The whole team, not just the guy. The whole team is in trouble if you get a third baseman or a first baseman or in some cases both who are not quick enough at the corners. You're in deep trouble.
That's one of the reasons why Kansas City's been so good between Moustakas and Hosmer. They're very good at the corners.
He's so quick. That first step, paramount for the corners.
To give you an idea, Hosmer this year, 4 errors in 152 games.
And he's got more range than Teixeira, more range than anybody at first base.
And Teixeira, only 3 errors this whole season.
Close pitch, didn't get it from Adam Hamari. 2 out, 2-2 the count.
That's a splitter just barely off the corner. Gio framed it there for him, but didn't get the benefit of the call.
Throw it right underneath his hands hard. Short into left field. And that's exactly where he went, right underneath the hands at 94. And that'll retire the side after half inning of play. It's the Royals nothing, and our guys coming back.
It's Melky Cabrera, Trace Thompson, Alexi Ramirez, Avisail Garcia, Giovanni Soto behind the plate with Mike Holt and Carlos Sanchez rounding it out. The defense and how they'll line up behind Johnny Cueto. It's Gordon, Kane, and Rios in the outfield with Moustakas, Escobar, Zobrist, and Hosmer in the infield. Very talented Salvador Perez behind the plate with Johnny Cueto on the hill. Those are his numbers with Kansas City. ERA very close to 5. He's 3-6. This is 12th start. Hitter's hitting .305. This is a guy who finished second in the Cy Young Award voting last year. It has not been a good experience in Kansas City thus far for him.
First pitch strike. No, when we saw him last time, everything was up. And it appeared that he was pitching with a tired arm. And that's just because it appeared that way does not necessarily make it so.
He says he's entirely healthy, and if that's the case, you know, he's one of the better pitchers around. He will use different motions. He'll quick pitch you. He'll turn his back to you, do a number of things.
Way out in front on that 83.
Good changeup for Cueto.
That big game in Pittsburgh postponed. We'll have a doubleheader tomorrow. St. Louis at Clint Hurdle's Buccos. Toronto at Baltimore postponed. Huge front there, and still more to come. Escobar's got him. Sox come in hitting at .250 as a team. 3.99 ERA. So here's Abreu. Jose at 290, 29 and 97.
Outfield playing very deep all the way around.
There he just dumps one into center field. All right, so with one out, one on, let's check out our picks to click tonight. Angio, our director and recruit. Well, they went with Alexei. Steve is going with Adam Eaton. And David Novak and all the great folks at Poogie Hyundai out in Downers Grove and I, we're going to go with Melky Cabrera. Who's at the plate right now? Melky is. Pretty good rip. Melky hitting at .275, 12 long ones and 76 knocked in.
Huge gap in right center field with Rios off the line and right. There's the Lorenzo Cain as he shades toward left center. And you see the gap.
Uh-oh. After one, there's no score. by Dayton Moore. Kendrys Morales hitting at .291, 21 homers, 105 driven in. Of course, Zobrist underneath the radar, but he was a good pickup. You need that all-purpose player. Certainly Zobrist is that. That's foul back.
Gamble on Morales was simply that he missed spring training last season. He hit only .218. So when you hit only 8 home runs, even if you were a good hitter in the past, you never even know if you're going to have a bounce back year. So they did take a gamble on him, and did it pay off?
But magnified it. That's a long way to go. He's going to get there. Trace almost misread it.
That wind very much a factor, and Trace drifted over with it in the last instant. The wind got the baseball and took it behind him. He's a very graceful outfielder. He's got this one all the way, and at the last instant, the wind took it, so he's going to foul that away, and this probably won't happen again.
Well, what really magnified the acquisition of Morales was Billy Butler leaving, and then the injury to Alex Gordon.
It certainly put a lot of pressure on Morales, and he's come through each and every day.
So here's Moustakas at .281, 21 long ones, and 77 driven in. Mike having a season coming off a beautiful postseason last year.
And Ed Yost put him in the 2 spot when this season started, and although he's not the prototypical 2 hitter, he thrived in that position.
Well, we got a guy in our 2 hole that's not a typical 2 hitter.
Oh, he's not.
So Jose Abreu. 1983, the White Sox put another guy who was not a typical 2-hole hitter, and that was Carlton Fisk. And once he got there, the whole offense turned around.
There are a lot of folks that have come down here.
Well, they travel well.
Kansas City fans.
They averaged this year 33,439. They set a franchise record of 2,708,549. They got more Kansas City fans here tonight than we do. There's your Kansas City special right there. They get more of those than anybody in this league.
So many Kansas City fans that when that ball dropped, it sounded like they were booing, but they call Moustakas Moose, and that's what all of them were saying. He went down, got this breaking ball, didn't get a whole lot of it, but couldn't have thrown it out there any better. Alexi gave it a good shot, but Trace can't get it. Eaton certainly couldn't get it, and it falls.
Whole bunch of blue in these seats. Of course, nobody travels like the Cardinals. That's amazing the way they travel, especially in the Central, in their Central Division. Salvador at .256, 20 homers, 68 driven in. 2 for 5 lifetime off Samardzija.
Perez has only been hit 4 times this year, which is unusual for a guy that's got to step toward the plate with an open stance.
Well, among other things, his technique for getting out of the way is very good. He does a lot of good things up there at that plate. And he does a lot of good things behind the plate. He's just a guy who does a lot of good things, period.
Grounded into 23 double plays this year.
There's a solid single to center. So 2 on, 1 out.
Join us at U.S. Cellular Field on Saturday, October 3rd, as the White Sox host the Detroit Tigers at 6:10. First 10,000 fans will receive an exclusive stretch sale action figure. For tickets or more information, visit whitesox.com. And there is Chris Sale, who next time out, barring something terribly unforeseen, is going to set the all-time franchise record for strikeouts.
And if you put that in perspective with the innings pitched, there's no comparison. And taking nothing away from Ed Walsh, because that was the culture of the game at that particular time.
In those days, you'd have guys that would bat the full season, whatever that was, 500, 550 times. They might strike out 30 times. Now you got guys who strike out 30 times in 2 weeks.
Well, the cultures of the game are different. One thing in the hitter's favor back in those days, good chance you're going to see that same guy out there 4 times. Once they went out there, they very seldom came out for anybody.
And they also didn't play any night games. And visibility during the daytime is always better.
Unless you got the shadows. But that's only. That ball into right center field. We got a man there. So Moustakas will tag, and he'll move into third. 2 down runners at the corners. Nice catch.
Well, exactly where Adam ran to get that ball is probably approximately where he's going to set up for Escobar, who loves to use right and right center field. He was their leadoff hitter for quite some time. He's their premier base stealer.
Hitting at .258, 3 homers, 47 knocked in, 3 for 14 lifetime off Samardzija.
That's one of the things you love to see him do. If Jeff's going to stay away, you'd love to see Escobar try to pull it. That almost ensures a ground ball to the left side.
Well, he's got as good a plate coverage off the outside corner as anybody in this league. Especially late in the ball game if it's close.
Jeff's made 5 wild pitches this year, so Giovanni's going to have to be at the top of his game to block anything down.
Just on the outside corner. And a count 1-2. There was a good pitcher's pitch and a good job by Escobar to fight it.
There was a little bit of that plate coverage you were talking about, because there's a lot of guys that are taking a walk after this one. He's able to go out and spoil a very good pitch.
You're sitting next to one.
You be taking that walk back?
I'd be grabbing some bench, Hawkaroo.
That was a good pitch.
Count hangs to the ball and 2 strikes.
So Gio goes out there. He wants to have a word with Jeff.
Ball hit hard right at him. Knuckling a little bit. Meanwhile, hang with him. And that'll retire the side. We'll go to the bottom of the second. No score.
Jeff Vukovich, your local Nationwide insurance agent, serving the area for 37 years. To join the nation, visit jeffvuk.com because Nationwide is on your side.
Trace Thompson, Alexei Ramirez, Ivy Garcia.
Kansas City gave up a bunch for a rental and Johnny Cueto. Brendan Finnegan, their #1 draft pick of last year, and John Lamb and Cody Reed. Finnegan looked like he's going to be a pretty good one.
He got a chance to be a good one.
Yep.
There's a little double twist.
Held in suspense.
I love to watch him pitch. And when he's healthy, he is. Well, he beat us early with Cincinnati when he was with Cincinnati. It was a fun game to watch, even though we got beat. He had Johnny Danks doing some of that. A little quick pitching. That ball hit well into center field. Stretch! Stretch! You can put it on the board.
No, he's got the catch.
Another catch. Wow. Lorenzo Cain has made some terrific plays against us, and actually he's made them a lot better than this one.
Well, this time he gets a real good break on this and times it perfectly as Cueto tries to quick pitch him. It's a changeup. And Trace is able to stay back, put a charge into it. Cain sees it all the way, goes up, timed perfectly, and he made the catch.
Well, a typical summer's evening here at this ballpark. That ball's in the ivy.
It's long gone. The fastest fastball we've seen from Cueto has been 90 miles an hour, but I think he's got a little more than that. He's just choosing not to use it.
Alexei likes Cueto. 6 for 8 with a homer. Watch out. Over by the camera well.
saw Salvador Perez pointing to the ground. He wanted that ball to bounce in front of the plate. He's one of the guys that you never worry about whether he's going to block it or not.
Well, he's doing something that he hadn't been doing a lot of, and that's he's down on one knee. And talking to some Kansas City people before the game, they said that Cueto's used to throwing to a low target. And Perez, for the most part, was giving him a higher target than he's used to. There's a ground ball to his counterpart. And they had a meeting about it. And I think Cueto's response was, look, I'm coming over here. I'm new. He's one of the best catchers in the game. He knows what he's doing, and I wasn't going to tell him to change anything.
Well, look, there's a lot of catchers that have used that to get down as low as they can. The guy that was a first base coach we just saw, Tony Pena, was one of those guys that extended that leg out, but you expose more of your body. You get hit more with foul tips if you do that.
Well, Tony Pena, first base coach for the Yankees, former manager of Kansas City. And in the last, at least the last 40 or 50 years, most fun guy to watch catch in baseball.
He was very animated, and he won a few Gold Gloves, so he could get it done. And
he was a tremendous player.
What a thrower.
Tremendous asset. And Moustakas doing what he can do. And Hosmer doing what he can do. These corners right here, just about as good as it gets in this league. Top of the third inning, no runs, 3 hits, no errors for them, no runs, 1 hit, no errors for us. And that last inning we're going to show you in this minute typifies the Kansas City Royal Ball Club. They, on a regular basis, day-to-day basis, for 162 games in the American League, there's a ground ball. Get over there. He will. And now they do this better than anybody in the American League on a daily basis.
Well, you got a great center fielder. Kane can get him alley to alley. Takes one away here. Whether it's going to go out or not, you don't really know. It looked like it was. And this on both ends is just outstanding. First, Moustakas to his left, and then he throws it in the dirt, and Hosmer, who scoops it out as well as anybody in baseball, saved the play.
Very seldom they ever talk about why a guy who can make the picks at first base is so important. And the reason being, the big reason being, first of all, you get the out. And the second reason, it gives that third baseman or that shortstop, or even sometimes on the second baseman, they know that if they make a low throw, he's going to get it, so they can get it away just a fraction of a second quicker. They don't have to take their time and make sure of a good throw. They get it away a fraction of a second quicker.
Well, there's also one more thing, and I view it obviously from a pitching perspective. You might save your pitcher 15 pitches in that inning.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just the physical play itself. And what allows him is the infielders who can get it away quicker. Oh, yeah, they're going to save a lot of other pitches.
Well, you save a lot of pitches that might not come into play this inning, but they might turn into earned runs 5 innings down the road because you've used many more pitches than you should have used. That's why the great defense has always been something that makes pitchers.
You might say, well, Lorenzo Cain's got 10 errors this year. Sure, he's going to have a lot of errors because he got such great range. He's got a good arm. He gets the balls and has an opportunity to make throws to get guys at the bases more than other center fielders. So he's going to make some bad throws. But once he gets to way overshadow that. Escobar, 12 errors at short. For the ground he can cover is really remarkable. Yeah, when those infielders can free wheel it over there at first base, they get it there quicker. Outfield, for the most part, straight up, spaced about equidistant as there's a get over there. All right.
Jeff knows he's going to have to break the first base because Jose will go after just about everything. This is a pretty good stop on a high hop, and then Jeff is there to make the play easily.
Well, Jose, as we've seen for 2 years now, Jose's got good hands. Now, he will make a bad decision sometimes on where to throw the ball and, where to go to second or go to tag the bag at first or come to home or whatever it may be the scenario calls for. But hands-wise, he's good. Terrific on pop-ups. Here's Cain. Had a little can of corn into right field. Avi made the catch.
He left nothing to the imagination there. He was trying to hit that ball 8 miles. 2 out, nobody on. You might as well go for it.
That's exactly right. Offense today is a different culture than it was 10 years ago. It was a different culture than it was 15 years ago, 20. Certainly past that. I'll give you an example. As Steve told you earlier on, this is a big game for Kansas City. Not a big game for us, but a big game for them. And when you're in a big game and you're scoreless, and you get an 0-2 count on you with 2 out, and you get hit on the fist or hit on the other bat and break a bat and get a little Kansas City special base hit, when you get back to that dugout next inning, those guys are going to get all over you. That's not what you do when you're 0-2 and a 2 out. You're going to carry a seat over there in the third base dugout if you're in the right-handed hitter's box. 2-0. They want that shirt unbuttoned and go get it. Full count. Conversely, on 0-2, if you take that big swing, they're going to get on you there a little bit too.
They get that same blue hip, 0-2, and they're going to be real happy with it.
They love it.
He kept the inning alive.
Yeah. Turn that lineup over. And if you're looking for a fastball, which he got at 97, there's a good swing. Shank down and hits the tarp, bounces into the seats.
He came over originally in a trade that sent Zach Greinke to Milwaukee. They got Escobar. They got Jake Odorizzi, who they used in another deal to Tampa Bay, and they got Kane. Turned out to be a terrific, terrific trade in 2010.
Foul tipped. He gone. Gas at 96. And after 2.5, no score.
The White Sox debit card available only at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC.
Soto, Olt, Sanchez. Pretty good pitch right there, and Cueto did not get it. Yanks that one.
And he can throw just about any kind of pitch, but he's got to limit how many he uses because sometimes gets himself in trouble by trying to establish too many, especially early in the game.
They made a good pitcher's pitch on him, and that evens counted 2. That's high. And caught.
White Sox fans celebrate Hispanic Heritage Night on October 2nd, presented by Miller Lite. There's going to be Latin music and dancing, special activities for kids, an on-field parade, and a post-game fireworks show. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. Miller Lite, official beer of your Chicago White Sox, and tickets start as low as $10. So visit whitesox.com/NHH.
And in the Bronx, Boston beat the Yankees last night. They're leading 7-4 in seventh inning this evening. Michael Pineda, who pitched so well against us. Boy, he got lit up.
There is nothing the Red Sox like to do more than beat the Yankees, even though their season is long over.
Well, that's what I was hoping we would do, be spoilers.
Yep.
Pineda went 6 innings, 7 hits, 7 runs, all earned. Quick pitch right there, and they say the more that Cueto does that, you know, the better he's feeling about himself, which is not uncommon for guys who are very animated in what they do.
He came off a pretty good outing against Seattle. Before that, it was really tough. He just wasn't throwing it well. The results weren't particularly good. Look at Johnny Cueto and you see what he's done over the last many years, and then you look at an ERA at 5. Just have to shake your head because he's been a whole lot better than that.
Bit of a quick pitch right there to Olt. 2 down. Well, that's what Nicholas said about Lee Trevino. Jack Nicklaus, great golfer. Lee Trevino, great player, great golfer. Jack said the more he talks, the better he plays.
Well,
as a rule, Trevino usually talked a lot on Sundays because he might be the greatest Sunday player we've ever seen. Sanchez can't get it. Carlos been in a bit of a funk lately, especially in breaking balls down and in. Gives them all that hesitation. Vis-a-vis Louis Tiant, pitch for Cleveland, Boston.
well, now he's inventing different
He's
things
shaking
to do.
his shoulders.
Yeah, he's doing just about everything there is to do before releasing the baseball.
Well, he'll tell you he's feeling pretty good about himself. That one at 93.
That time he reached back, got a little something extra.
And a full count. All right.
That ball had a piece of the bottom part of his zone. Cueto didn't get it. He does not walk too many people.
Minnesota at Cleveland also postponed. Minnesota won that ball game yesterday 4-2. Tommy Cy Malone over Corey Kluber.
That was an emergency start. Malone wasn't supposed to start, but he was pressed into service and did a whale of a job. But we've seen that a lot from him.
Washington 80 and 76. Trailing Atlanta 2-1. That's in the bottom of the 7th down in Georgia. A.J. Pierzynski with a 2-run homer. There's a shot into center field. Carlos now will pull it up as Kane will get to it quickly, get it back in. So 2 out, 2 on.
Minnesota, that rain out doesn't come at a particularly good time. That team is right in the middle of this wild card race, a game and a half back, as Adam takes it right back up the middle, keeps the inning alive, and a chance to break through against Johnny Cueto, with the man that needs 3 runs batted in and 1 homer to tie or move into the same club that Albert Pujols is in by himself.
One swing of the bat can get that accomplished. Just off the corner. That one at 93. And the shot, bullet. All right, so he's going to get one of them right here. Yeah, it's 1-0 Sox. RBI number 98.
A walk and 2 base hits with 2 out and nobody on. Led to the first run.
Don't stop now, boys, as here is Melky. Takes first pitch strike just off the inside corner. Nothing in 2.
Last year, Cueto had a magnificent year. There were only 2 National League pitchers named on all 30 ballots for the Cy Young Award. Clayton Kershaw, who got all 30 first place votes, and Johnny Cueto, who was named on all 30 ballots and finished a distant second to Kershaw.
Count hangs at nothing in 2. Good take. Got him, but the RBI single by Jose Abreu. And we'll go to the 4th leading 1-0. Here's Hosmer. Takes first pitch strike. He popped up. Trace Thompson in left field. American League West is in for an exciting week.
Well, could very well be, depending on how Houston fares, where they could be leading that division most of the year and then not make the playoffs if they have a week-long cold spell.
The Angels have won 6 in a row and 8 of the last 10. Here's another strike, and that evens count at 2.
Angels entertaining Oakland. And Texas goes to Anaheim this weekend.
1 out. Yeah, it's going to be a fun week to follow in American League West.
Right now, it's a whole lot of pitchers going to be used. The bottom of the second in Texas. Texas leading 6-4 over Detroit. There's a long way to go in that one.
Kendrys popped up to Trace Thompson in left field. Texas coming in tonight 1.5 games in front of the Astros, 2 in front of the Angels. He just missed that one. Adam.
The White Sox Kids Club is presented by University of Chicago Medicine Comer Children's Hospital. We're teaming up for kids' health. Kids Club members receive free White Sox tickets and cool, exclusive Kids Club items. For information about the 2016 Kids Club, email kidsclub@whitesox.com.
Here's Moustakas. He had a little Kansas City special blooper for a base hit. Yeah, that's quite an accomplishment. Going to finish up the season, only team in Major League Baseball with fewer than 1,000 strikeouts. Oh, 0-2 the count. And that's foul back. Just tuning in, we mentioned St. Louis at Pittsburgh postponed. Doubleheader tomorrow. Toronto at Baltimore postponed. And Josh Donaldson, 121 RBIs, leading his teammate Bautista by 15. So he'll win the RBI championship and probably the MVP, which he should in the American League. Now feel they're straight up spread out. And the 2-2 pitch is full. Donaldson also, that was in runs. He was leading by 15. In RBIs, he has 122, leading Bautista by 11. Donaldson also leading in total bases, 347. And Trace has got the bead. Nice 1-2-3 inning, and we'll go to the bottom of the fourth. Marge's got himself a 1-0.
On to WGNTV.com and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner for the latest stats and information. Sox Game Zone is powered by Robert Morris University, Illinois, offering over 55 athletic teams, and that's more than any other university in the state. For more information on RMU, visit robertmorris.edu.
Here's Trace. He's 0 for 1. And that's going fair ball. He just stood at the plate. He didn't think it was going to be fair. Meanwhile, he's now 1 for 2.
He might have had a shot at 2 bases, but I think he lost track of where the baseball was and just froze. And Gordon is too good and too accurate. If you don't get out of the box real quickly, he brought his hands in, swung at that pitch. That was a good 4 inches inside. And he thinks, for whatever reason, that ball is going foul.
Well, he has the ability, we've seen it already, to hit with short arms. What a big asset that is. Yeah, if he tries to go on second, he may have had a shot, but chances are he could go on boots.
Gordon's pretty good, gets the ball quickly, and he's exceptionally accurate.
Watch out. Just back in.
We learned something about Salvador Perez, and that is secondary leads will get you in trouble. Perez, one of the quickest there is at going to first base.
He's the best in this league.
He's the best in this league. Yadier Molina, probably the best in the National League.
He's still pending, isn't he?
Yadier's hurt.
Yeah, but I mean, he's still pending as far as the playoffs go.
Yep. Yeah. They don't know. It's a huge loss if he's not ready to go.
Best player on your team.
He also had a very scary moment as Steven Piscotty, along with Peter Borges. He ran into his knee. They carried him off the field. Apparently he's all right, but boy, they're dropping like flies for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I pulled that up a little while ago on my iPad.
It was nasty.
Not nice.
No, that was nasty.
First and 30, Alexi. Here's a 1-2 pitch.
That little cutter inside. A lot of pitchers are using that more these days. There was a time when pitching coaches would have told you that's a no-no. Don't cut the ball inside to a right-hand hitter, because if he opens up, he can get the good part of the bat on it. But it's coming back.
Pretty good lead by Trace.
Opponents have stolen 73 bases against the Kansas City Royals, and they've been gunned down 34 times. The Royals have swiped 100, and they've only been gunned down 34 times. Well, they can steal them, and they can stop you from stealing them.
That's softly in the left, and that's going to fall. So a good read right there by Trace. And here's Avi. Hit a ball in the hole at Moustakas' full layout. Got up, made a quick throw, a low throw, and a beautiful pick by Hosmer to get him. Only one to count. Softly hit. This is going to be a double play. Second double play turn by Kansas City.
That time he was able, after missing the first two times on fastballs inside, he was able to get the third one inside. He broke Avi's bat, and then it kicked off the mound, making it a lot easier play for Escobar.
So it's up to Gio to try to knock him in with two down. Gio went out to Kane in center field. Right here, Gio.
Gio picked by the Cubs in the 11th round back in 2001. Later came up and was the Rookie of the Year in the National League.
Backhanded. And the second baseman. Ben Zobrist throws him out. Nice play for the all-purpose Ben Zobrist. One 5-0 for our guys, 0-3-0 for their guys here in the top of the fifth inning. Lower third of the Royal Order: Perez, Rios, and Escobar. There was a strike and he didn't get it.
And one of the things you got to be aware of when you're facing Salvador Perez is the fact that he does go back up the middle a lot. And if you're not in good fielding position, you can take one off your anatomy.
Breaking ball strike, that evens the count at 1. That's in the left field, right off the end of the bat.
Fans of First Merit Bank Stadium Club offers breathtaking views of U.S. Cellular Field and delicious food and beverage options. You can enjoy them prior and during White Sox games. For more information, call 312-674-1000.
Here's Rios. Hit a ball in the right center field. Adam made a nice catch.
Alex had some injury problems this year. Limited him to just 100 games to this point. How you can't beat the concession stand. Those look like nachos. A lot of nachos.
And there's another Kansas City special. Right off the fist, softly hitting center field. So that breaks a streak of 9 in a row retired by Jeff.
I'd like to send along birthday greetings to Kelly Howard. Kelly Howard, the daughter of Mike Layden, big Sox fan. And the toughest thing for Mike and this birthday present was to convince her that the scout seats he's sitting in, he had to pay for. But being that he makes Scrooge look like a philanthropist, I'm sure he got them for nothing.
Wait a minute. You're going to go there?
Well, he knows it.
You're going to go there?
Yeah. Oh, of course. Are you kidding? You should see when we go to dinner. Most of the time, we sit there for 3 hours to see who's going to pay for that check.
Who's going to go to
below
below the belt? Huh?
We eat in 45 minutes, but we sit there a while.
Escobar, who's a very accomplished ping pong player. Well, a few years back, we had a pitcher on our club that was unbelievable on that ping pong table. Kirk McCaskill. He was really good. There he goes. Yeah, Kirk just absolutely destroyed everybody. They had a ping pong table in the clubhouse at that point. He just destroyed everybody on our team. So one of our guys said, I've got a cousin of mine coming in to watch the games tomorrow. He says, he's pretty good too. You want to play him?
Who'd he set him up with?
Whoever he was, he just drubbed Kirk. Kirk was really good. He was a professional ping pong player that went out and hired. Look at this. Okay, he got there. Almost another Kansas City special. Unbelievable how many times they do that. But again, I wish I'm not being derogatory to them. I'm complimenting them. I wish our guys would do it more. Just don't strike out. Put the ball in play.
Got that ball on the inside part of the plate, broke his bat, and fortunately, Carlos was able to go back and get it.
Here's Zobrist, the strikeout. One of two registered by Jeff. And he also was grounded out. Out of play. Thirty-four-year-old veteran who plays like he's 24. First of three against these guys. And Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Detroit Tigers come to town for the final three of 2015.
The Tigers, who roughed up Cole Hamels to the tune of a 6-6 game right now, still in the third inning.
Got it, steps on the bag, and that'll retire to the side. We're halfway home, leading 1-0.
100, 300, and 500 levels. Learn baseball fundamentals from Chicago White Sox Training Academy coaches in batting and pitching cages, along with base running areas and more. It's all from Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
1-5-0 for our Sox. 0-4-0 for their Royals. As there are a lot of Royal fans in attendance. First pitch strike. Michael to ground it out softly to Ben Zobrist at second base. Little pop up in the short center field, and Lorenzo will make that. So here's Sanchez. He walked and scored. That walk coming with 2 out, nobody on back in the third inning. And a single by Eaton, a single by Abreu.
It does go to show you that Cueto, one of the best control pitchers around this year. When he walks a guy, and he's only walked the one, it came back to bite him. Because he walked him with 2 outs and nobody on.
Back through the middle and into center field for a base hit. Perfectly placed by Carlos. Adam 1 for 2. One and one the count. That ball hit deep. Wheels back. Looks up. You can put it on the board. Yes. 2-run homer for Adam. Number 14, and it's a 3-0 game.
Not bad for the man that had 6 home runs for his career coming into this year. He's now driven in 53. 14 and 53 for a leadoff hitter. This is a changeup, and it's right down the middle. Cueto made a mistake, and Adam made him pay.
He just reached out for the most part, one-handed it out of here.
Cueto gave up 11 home runs in the National League in 130 2/3. He's given up 10 home runs in the American League in 74 innings.
And Adam Howes with that base hit. Back in the third, extended his consecutive on-base streak to 18 games. Alcides, the gun. And they called him safe. It's close play. I thought in real time he got him, but
so did I, and Ned Yost is motioning that he wants him to take a look at it. Doesn't look like he's out to me.
Yeah, he got it.
Yep. What a gun that Escobar has. This one is in the glove before Jose gets to the bag. This is going to be a very short and very easy call.
Another one of those shortstops who can really play. 28 years old, so he's got a few years left. They can all throw. That kid, Didi Gregorius in New York, man. Well, they all have great arms.
Yeah, Lindor's arm in Cleveland is great.
Well, yeah,
Gregorius could throw from any angle and pour it across the diamond.
Iglesias in Detroit when he's healthy.
Yeah, they got him.
So that is 2 down. So here's Melky. Melky 0 for 2, hit into a 4-6-3 double play and struck out. Takes first pitch strike. Melky hitting .348 with runners in scoring position during the second half of the season. That's 20th among 200 full-time players. I'll tell you, it's Inside Edge Scouting Services. Boy, they do a lot of research. We used to joke about it a long time ago about certain announcers, Dodgers have one, could tell you what Jimmy Jones was hitting on Tuesday nights in the 4th inning. That's a base hit in the center field. I mean, it was just incredible the stats that he could come up with. Now it's commonplace.
Now everybody has them. They do quantify just about everything. And there are people that are paid to chart each and every pitch, what pitch it was, location of the pitch, where it was hit, and how it was hit, whether it was a line drive or a blue pit. I mean, they quantify everything.
Well, here's an example on Melky. He also has chased 52.8% of breaking pitches out of the zone. Is the thing since the All-Star break. But 2-run homer by Adam Eaton. It was 6th, leading 3-0. 3-8-0 for our guys, 0-4-0 for their guys. Jeff Samardzija has got Alex Gordon at the plate. Takes that fastball upstairs. Alex lined the single in the right field his first at bat. Then he grounded out 3-1.
So Gio, a quick trip to the mound. Wants to remind Jeff to stay close, because when you open up too quickly, you're going to throw it high and away to the left-hand hitters if you're a right-hand pitcher.
There's a strike. That one at 94. High, foul, and trying to come back, and it will.
What we've seen all night is that wind is blowing straight across. It fooled Trace Thompson early in the ball game, and this time it fooled Mike Olt. He was sprinting back toward the tarp, and the wind grabbed it and pushed it back toward the field of play. So it goes as no play.
Count hangs at 2 balls, 2 strikes. First of 3 against these guys. Tomorrow night, Jose Quintana against Edinson Volquez. That game over Comcast Sportsnet. That's a fair ball. Jeff right where he should be for out number 1. And on Thursday, Johnny Danks, who's been pitching well, against Chris Medlin. That game also on Comcast Sportsnet. In the Tiger Series on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they're going to run Simon, Verlander, and Norris out there. We're going to run Chris Sale on Friday as he goes for the franchise strikeout record. And to be announced on Saturday and to be announced on Sunday. Kane has gone out to right softly, and he has struck out, swinging on a fastball. And count 0-2.
He's had a good fastball tonight, and for the most part, he's been able to throw it exactly where he wants to. We've seen it consistently, 96, 97.
Well, he's only hung 1 splitter. Got away with it.
The last time out, he was exceptional. Tonight, he's very good.
That's in the right field. That's can of corn. 2 down. So here's Hosmer. He popped up to the left and grounded to short. That ball hit hard into left. Trace back. And it's a 3-1 ball game. That's number 17 for him, and RBI number 89.
Hosmer hit this one awfully hard. It's a high fastball. It's out away. And it's a line drive shot into the bullpen in left field.
There's Morales. Just off the outside corner, says Adam Hamari. Let's see, 28th home run to Jefferson. Over into their dugout. And that ball hit deep into left center field. And it's a 3-2 ball game. Number 22, Kendricks. Back-to-back opposite field shots.
There's 106 driven in with his 22nd home run. 2 line drive home runs have cut this lead to 1. That time he takes a little something off, and Morales with big power to all fields takes it the opposite way.
So here's Moustakas. Takes first pitch strike. Oh, and 2. They now have 135, and with that home run by Adam Eaton, we have 135. And of course, with that home run, the Alex Nelius family and Christine O'Reilly will hook up with White Sox Charities once again in loving memory of Ursula. Adam Eaton, 2-run homer. He gone. And we'll go to the bottom of the 6th, leading by 1.
Subway, the 97999 right now for your chance to win 6 meals from the Simple 6 menu from Subway. Message and data rates may apply. Subway, eat fresh.
It's a 3-2 Sox lead. Back-to-back homers coming to 2 out by Hosmer and Morales. So here's Alexei. Alexei 1 for 2. Two and 0 the count. Just tuning in, Minnesota at Cleveland. That game postponed. Indians sitting at 77 and 78. And Terry Francona's record of 10 consecutive winning seasons. Well, it's in jeopardy. Texas leading Detroit 7-6. That's in the bottom of the 4th inning. That's foul. Boston thumping the Yankees 9-4 in the Bronx, top of the 9th. Toronto at Baltimore, postponed. Atlanta beats Washington 2-1. A.J. Puzinski's 2-run homer. A.J. 3 for 3 in that game, hitting at .299, so he's having some kind of good year for the Braves, even though the Braves are really scuffling. One out.
Here's our Mazda replay, and it came with 2 on and nobody out in the 4th. Throws it in the dirt. And you see Hosmer, he has a tendency to get down very low on those short hops. Very few first basemen will do this. Apparently, just like a third baseman, getting low to be able to catch the hop, he feels comfortable doing it. You just don't see it very often.
Bobby can't get it. Again. Bobby, as always, busted his butt down the line.
The great part about watching him play is the fact that you will never see him not hustle to first base. So he puts the pressure on the defense.
Gio. He's 0 for 2. Fly out and the ground out. Brzezinski in that game had 2 home runs. There's the strike, 3-1. Off the plate, good eye. Second walk issued by Cueto.
And the last time he walked anybody with 2 outs and nobody on, Carlos Sanchez came home to score.
Strike is grounded out and popped up the center.
Danny Duffy starts to throw in the bullpen. He was a starter for most of this year. Duffy had 24 starts, only 3 appearances out of the pen.
Come on, Mike. Got a good count here, buddy. Pick you a pitch. Not that one.
That's a lot of confidence. You throw a changeup after walking a guy, go 3-1 on the next guy, and you throw a changeup. Pretty unhittable because you can't possibly be looking for it.
Just got a piece of it. We're into the 7th. We lead it by 1. It's a 3-2 good guy lead here in the top of the 7th inning. Lower third of their order, Perez, Rios, and Escobar. The base, Jeff Samardzija. Got through back-to-back opposite field home runs to Hosmer and Morales, if you're just joining us.
And they hit him in a good spot tonight. You're going to have to hit a line drive. You're going to get it out in right. That wind didn't affect it at all in left field.
Perez at single. And a fly out to Trace Thompson in left field. First of a 3-game set against these guys. And first of the final 6 of 2015.
Just in case, Zach Duke listening in the pen as Jeff ready to deliver pitch number 102.
So there is the leadoff single.
He just reaches out, and all 4 pitches in this at bat were away. So we got to the point where you're most likely looking out there. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have hit that one, but he did, and he hit it well.
Well, he bought some hang time for himself with that leg kick. That front foot did not hit the ground too quick. And if that's the case, then you can go out and get a pitch on the outside. But to no avail as rack him up. 2 down.
Hey, Sox fans, all season long you can score with Papa John's Pizza. The day after the Sox score 5 or more runs, you get 50% off your entire online order at papajohns.com with the promo code SOX5. That's at all participating Papa John's locations. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
See Sergeant Hurd. He was honored for his service. We want to thank you once again. He was a squad automatic gunner and a squad leader. He served in Afghanistan and Iraq. One and two.
One thing you pretty much take to the bank, Escobar's not going to be walking. 26 walks, 590 at bats.
Now, this guy's one of the most dependable performers at shortstop in the game. And he is not afraid of knocking a big run. Late in the ball game off. Good stuff. Get over there. Hurry. No. Can't get him.
There was no way he could get the transfer, so he had to flip it up in the air, and Escobar just runs too well. So it was a good try by Carlos, but when you catch it where he caught it, you can't do anything with it because you can't get the hand over fast enough.
And another Kansas City special.
Yeah, it was one of those, certainly. You see him try to get the hand over there, then realize to no avail. And
more duck snorts, more infield singles, more broken bat singles than any team in the American League. And again, I say that complimentary. They just don't strike out. He's 15 for 20 in stolen bases.
he can run. Their best runner is Jared Dyson. 26 for 29. Lorenzo Cain runs well also. It's not quite as well as Dyson.
High trying to come back. Can't get there. So Zobrist has struck out, bounced out 3-1, and bounced out 3 unassisted.
Tonight, because of the wind, you're not going to be able to give up on anything to the left side, because the wind is going to push it back in the field of play. On the right side, the wind is going to push it out of play, as it did that time. Zobrist, since putting on that Kansas City uniform, hitting .291. So he did a little better job after getting traded over to KC.
Everything's contagious. He caught on. Like a virus, see the positive and negative.
Just a terrific deal for Dayton Moore, because he got a player that gives Ned Yost just tremendous flexibility. You can hit him anywhere in the order, and you can play him anywhere on the field.
And being a switch hitter, is that? Yes! What a play by Trace Thompson again! You gotta be bleeping me. What a play. Mercy.
Lays out, and at the end of his dive, he catches the ball. An unbelievable play. Would have scored at least one, maybe two. Who knows how that inning goes? But Jeff Samardzija shocked by that play. It was one of the best you'll see. Speed Replay is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
Yeah, with no fence involved, that's one of the best catches you'll see all year long.
Outstanding, because he dove flat out and actually closed ground while diving, because if he doesn't dive, if he's not that athletic, he's got no chance to catch that ball.
We've talked about him. Our fans are very well aware, as you look at Danny Duffy coming on, of Trace Thompson and his chances of becoming a terrific player for a long time. Duffy. First pitch to Carlos. Carlos's walk scored. Singleton scored.
Duffy out for the 28th time. 24 of them starts.
And that's Souvenir right side very quickly, 0-2. 3-8-0 for us, 2-8-0 for them.
There was a time when Kansas City thought Duffy would be a top of the rotation starter.
He still can be.
Got a terrific arm. He has been injury plagued.
That's what will keep him from not being a top of the line starter. When he spots that fastball, he is double tough.
Last year, 9-12, but an ERA of 2.53 in 25 starts. So all in all, a very good year for Duffy, despite being under 500.
Well, last year he was their version of Jose Quintana.
Yeah, he was a good one. He is a good one, and still plenty of upside. At 26, if he can stay healthy, he can still be a dominant figure in their rotation.
Big gap in left center, which will be tough for Carlos to hit. He's taking his hacks. Fastball at 97.
Cueto went 6, gave up 3 runs on 8 hits, a couple of walks, a couple of strikeouts.
Back to the middle. Oh, look at the hop he got. It's going to be a base hit, but what a terrific effort by Zobrist.
Well, Perez is going to tag him because he's going to say that he actually made a break toward second base. He didn't, but might as well take a shot. You never know what happens.
Well, you got nothing to lose.
Nope.
No fine or no extra base given to him.
He's very fortunate this time. No chance to get it. It does not bounce into the dugout.
So here's Adam. Adam has grounded to short, singled, and then hit a 2-run homer. Got a changeup from Cueto and more or less one-handed it out of here.
What a second half Adam Eaton has had. Hit 300 last year. Did not have a particularly good first half, but he's really turned it on. Our fourth drive of the game. I've told you about the straight change. And Adam took it into the bullpen. Time made it a 3-0 game. Seen any hitter who gave away his body but kept his hands there in the zone better than Ichiro Suzuki?
No.
Pretty remarkable hitting style, wasn't it?
Well, it was unique, and that means stands alone.
Yeah.
You certainly would not try to teach that. His head drifted a solid foot, and his hands never moved.
Pretty amazing.
Well, I mean, his hands, as he drifted, his hands would come, but they never moved. Then when he started to swing is when they moved.
Some hitter.
Well, he's one of the greatest players that ever lived. I mean,
yeah, you make the Hall of Fame in 2 different countries, you're getting it done.
who? We talk about, I mean, you can talk about anybody you want to. Great right fielders. He's right there. He knew how to play the game.
What I always liked about him is you could take some tape of him in right field. It would be an instructional video because he did everything perfect. He set up perfectly. He got in a position to throw. He was able to go to the line and cut off an extra base.
Uh-oh. They're not going to get him. But, yeah, each row, 1 out. In the last 25 years, nobody was better than he was. White Evans was a great right fielder. Clemente was a great right fielder. You know, Roger Maris was a terrific right fielder. And he did that by positioning. Roger did. We played with the Yankees for you youngsters out there. But he was known for hitting 61 home runs. But he was a terrific defensive player. None of those guys I mentioned were better than you.
No. Nope, because he had great speed to go with it. And there's that step off the mound move at first base.
He had more speed than all those guys. I mean, appreciably. nobody had a better arm than he had. Nobody was. Dwight Evans was the closest to throwing as many strikes, and Maris was threw strikes. Taylor was a great right fielder for the Tigers, Hall of Famer. But I mean, H.O. was right there.
Well, a home run here would get the job done. Give him 30 and 100. So he's not going to be able to take that one out of the park.
No. That's the one thing that's tough about Danny Duffy, especially when you've got good stuff like he has, and he's all over the place. He's tough to hit at. And then all of a sudden, if he spots his fastball, he's tough again to hit at. So. I'm just sitting here thinking about each of some other guys. You know, we talk about Vladimir Guerrero. What a great player he was. If he'd have been anywhere in the States, he would have been, I mean, much more appreciated. Great right fielder, had a great arm.
If he hadn't come up with Montreal, his legs might have survived a whole lot longer than he did.
That's another issue.
Because he could run.
Stole over 40 bases.
I mean, he was a wonderful player.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to think. He probably had the closest thing to Ichiro's gun. And he was accurate. Vlad was accurate. There you go. Safe.
Probably going to be a wild pitch, I would assume.
Yeah.
And Perez did a great job of jumping on it and making it close at second. Normally, a lot of catchers wouldn't even thrown this one. Breaking ball in the dirt. It trickles away, but not all that far, and he throws it right on the money. It is indeed a wild pitch. For Duffy, that's his 11th wild pitch. Far away leading the ball club in that department.
Yeah, well, there's the category of stat right there that if they come into play us, which they have for 3-game series, and you hadn't seen the stats, and you say, who's leading this club in wild pitches? First guy you would sit with, Danny Duffy.
Yeah, good hard breaking ball in the dirt. Even with a great catcher, you're going to throw your share. Greg Holland out for the year. Wade Davis is taken over as the closer.
Well, if he's healthy, he's up to it.
.97 ERA this year. 14 saves and just an 8-1 record.
Just got a piece of it. Once again, the 2-2. That's a little ground ball. 2 down. There's Melky. Melky is 1 for 3. Just joining us, we scored 1 in the 3rd, 2 in the 5th. They scored 2 in the 6th. That's a strike. That had the zone. Big gap out there in left center. Breaking ball and the count 1-2. Another breaking ball.
Did a good job of staying alive because that was too close to take. Would have been off the plate, but you never want to leave it in the hands of Adam Hamari. You don't want to leave it in the hands in any umpire in that situation. Now the man in scoring position.
And we're into the 8th, leading 3-2.
Innings on 8 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Hosmer Morales, the only runs for the Royals, back-to-back home runs in the 6th. Start something special with the great deal on a Honda. Now it's your Honda dealer.
Alex Gordon. Matt Albers on the bump in relief of Jeff. And first pitch strike to Gordon.
At the toughest part of the order right here, and although you can't get any 8th inning saves, this might very well be a save situation.
Oh, 0-2 the count.
Albers has been brilliant out of the bullpen, on for the 29th time. Good movement on just about everything he throws. Throws a lot of ground balls. Gets a double play when he has to.
Close.
Rusty Kuntz, first base coach, knocks it down and makes some friends.
One of baseball's great guys right there.
Yes, he is.
One of the nicest people you ever want to meet. And him out in front, off balance again.
A lot of people don't realize that for players, obviously, the accolades and just winning it, that's what you want to do. That's what you're raised to do, is try to win it. From an economic standpoint, for many of these players, it's a very small amount of money that you win. For the coaches, because they don't make all that much, when you get into postseason play and go into the World Series, that's a huge check for those guys.
That's fouled back. Trying to come back. It will. Watch out. And he makes the play. Nice recovery right there by Gio. Well, that's where he's got to have a little help right there with that win.
Yeah, because he was noticing it and he just drifted with it. This is a tough play for him. Comes back, and I mean, he's got to come back for a while before stabbing it, getting it in the web, and making the catch. This is a good effort by Gio.
Well, the wind has been a factor all night long in this game. Off the end of the bat. And quickly 2 gone.
Had a huge out because of Kane and his ability to steal bases. He swiped 28 of them, but only 6 times. So in a 1-run ball game, keeping him off base is one of the keys.
That'll bring up Eric Hosmer, the first baseman, who has popped up to left, grounded to short, and then homer. Got a fastball up out over the plate and just hit a line shot right over the fence in left field.
This was a very strong outing for Jeff Samardzija again. Back-to-back, very good outings.
Well, some of the same scouts that saw him pitch against the Tigers, a couple of them I saw, are here again tonight.
I mean, what they wanted to see from him was, what did he have coming back after that performance? He threw a lot of pitches in that game, and he had equally as good a stuff tonight as he had last time out. Got the fastball up high by Hosmer.
There's a pretty good pitch, didn't get it. Well, he hit 97 a few times tonight.
They're just looking for help from a guy they know is going to throw over 200 innings, and they saw that he is indeed healthy.
I hope it's not the case, but it could be that that's his last appearance in a White Sox uniform, and I certainly hope that is not the case. But
well, if he indeed did finish it up, then he finished it up with a flourish. 2 real good outings. One unbelievably great. The other just very good.
Well, he's terrific for a ball in other ways. There he hits it. Muscles it. And that'll bring up the dangerous Kendrys Morales.
I think what Hosmer has shown us tonight, if they didn't know it already, and I'm sure they did, he can hit the ball very well when it's up. And here comes Robin. And if you got a choice with Morales, and he does indeed have a choice, he's got much more power from the left side. So here comes Zach Duke. He's going to turn Morales around from the right side. We'll step out and be back after these messages. 31st at the Chicago Hilton. Score an autograph or photo with your favorite players or coaches or White Sox greats. Play games, win prizes, and shop for White Sox gear. It'll be a weekend of White Sox baseball that you won't want to miss. Tickets are on sale now, so to purchase, visit whitesox.com/SoxFest.
So Zach has concluded his warm-up tosses. 3-9-0 for us, 2-9-0 for them. 2 out. Hosmer at first here in the top of the 8th inning. And Morales 1 for 3 with that home run.
Not much to choose from average-wise for Morales, but he's got much more left-handed power than right-handed power.
Close pitch, didn't get it. Another close pitch, but it was not a strike. I tell you, Adam Hamari's had a good game behind the plate.
Doesn't have a whole lot of people look back.
No, well, he's missed them like everybody's going to miss them. Let's see that many pitches. He's had a good, solid game behind the plate. And a 3-1 count, so Kendrick's got the catbird seat. With that homer, he now has 22. With that RBI, he now has 106. This will be the 263rd pitch of this ball game. Moustakas. Mike is 1 for 3. That breaking ball off the plate.
David Robertson loosening in the pen. He undoubtedly is going to come on to face Perez if the inning goes that long.
Two on, 2 out in a 1-run ball game here in the top of the 8th inning. And a 2-0 count. Line shot caught. Hang with him right there for Moustakas. Beautiful play by Michael, and we'll go to the bottom of the 8th.
Bottom of the 8th inning. And there's a look at Java. 0-2, 4.73 ERA. On for the 36th time. I remember him. Started with the Yankees. Then eventually got hurt. Wended his way to the Tigers before finding his way here to the Kansas City Royals.
Thompson, Ramirez, and Garcia.
Trace's contribution in this one, besides the lone base hit, was a spectacular catch.
Well, let's just say that Lorenzo Cain made a pretty good play on him to take a possible home run away from him.
Yes, he did.
That's on the corner. 1-2 the count.
Jabba's beard has taken a whole lot of trimming since coming to Kansas City.
Looks like he's trimmed down some as well.
We still got 95 on that fastball, so the arm is still pretty good, although he has not had a good run at it with the Royals. 7.71 ERA in 5 games.
But you know yourself, sometimes you get with the right club, the right coach, right scenario. Sometimes that light switch goes off, then comes back on.
When he came up with the Yankees, he was a devastating pitcher.
There's a good at bat and a good take by Trace. Leadoff walk. Well, not too many guys. Anytime you get a hard throwing young pitcher coming up from the Yankees, he's going to get a tremendous amount of publicity, and that's exactly what happened in Java's case.
There was one big problem, and that was a difference of opinion as to what he should do, because ownership wanted him to start.
That was after the season started.
I know.
I mean, you can't ask a reliever to start after the season.
Not if you know, not if you haven't stretched him out before the fact.
I mean, Girardi was 100% right in that situation.
There's no doubt, and it certainly didn't help Chamberlain at all.
You want a reliever to go that starting rotation, you better tell him at the end of the season to get ready over the winter. One to count to Alexei. That's a gapper. Nobody's going to catch that one. So Trace, he's hauling it. He's going to be waved around. Here he comes. He'll score on the double by Alexei, and it's a 4-2 ball game. Yes.
That's RBI number 61 for Alexei. And he crushed this ball. This is a fastball on the inner third. Perez wanted it inside. He didn't get it there. He got way too much of the plate. Alexei just put a charge into it. He's 2 for 4, and that's a huge insurance run.
Trey stumbles a little bit going around the bag.
Yeah, right there. He lost his footing, but then he still scored easily enough. Big run.
And we're not done yet. Ivy. Don't stop now, boys. Ivy 0 for 3. He's due. Trying to take it to the right side, underneath it, and pops it up.
Keep up with the pennant races in true HD quality on MLB.TV Premium. Watch every out-of-market game live or on more than 400 supported devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Visit MLB.TV today.
J.B. Shuck has come out to hit for Giovanni. 4-10-0 for us, 2-9-0 for them here in the bottom of the 8th inning. You're just tuning in. Get over his head, fair. Just foul.
That one didn't miss by much.
No.
But Ted Barrett right on the line, right on the call.
Ted, the crew chief.
Hard throwing left-hander Franklin Morales throwing in the pen.
That helps. So Alexei on a wild pitch into third. Now JB. Now.
Well, now he's going to be able to hit with the infield in, and that one slipped out of Chamberlain's hands. Perez is a big man. You throw it over his head, it is a very wild pitch.
Like it had part of the zone.
It did have a very small part of the plate. See where Perez wants it. He sits out there. The good catchers are going to put, when they sit that far outside, they're going to put just the webbing of the glove over the inside corner. And that's going to mean their whole glove is probably 2 inches inside, and you buy a lot of calls that way.
Well, one of the biggest factors on that is when they're sitting up there, close pitch, the glove's always going towards the plate. It's always going towards the plate.
My old teammate Rick Dempsey told me that if you don't move the glove, if you just turn your wrist, he said you'll buy many more strikes by just turning the wrist. It accomplishes the same thing as moving the glove, except it doesn't look like you're moving the glove.
The glove moves.
Yeah, but Dempsey was a good one.
He was one of the best.
You just don't move it. You don't jerk it into the zone.
Oh no. When you're sitting up outside and you get that glove just off the outside corner, it's a close pitch. That glove just goes slowly in towards the ball, and that umpire is going to see that out of his vision, peripheral vision. Rick Dempsey was one of the best. In the nuances of catching. Two out, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 in. Big double by Alexei. Knocks in Trace Thompson, who had a good at bat, drew a walk, he scored, and we lead it 4-2.
try to nail it down for Jeff Samardzija and the Sox. They've been in pursuit of save number 33, and this is 40th opportunity. It's in just 196, 81 strikeouts in just over 60 innings. J.B. Shuck stays in the game. He'll play right field. Tyler Saladino will come in the game defensively at third. And Rob Brantley checks in the game behind the plate.
So the Sox now defensively in the outfield. Thompson at left, Eaton in center, Shuck and right. Around the horn, Saladino, Alexei, Sanchez, Abreu, and the battery of Brantley and Robertson.
This is undoubtedly for the Sox the fastest outfield they can throw out there.
Salvador Perez. Salvador, a single in the second, a single in the seventh, and he flied out leading off the fifth. Count evens at 1.
Just in case, Scott Alexander and Michael Marriott.
Close. Two and 1 to count with Alex Rios on deck and Alcides Escobar in the hole. Four 10-0 for us, 2-9-0 for them. As we talked about up top and during the ball game, if you're just joining us, this is a big game for Kansas City. Trying to acquire the best record, home field advantage.
Oh, and that is a huge advantage, especially when you're dealing with Toronto.
High pop up. Sanchez. Somebody got to come in and take him off that play with that wind blowing. Meanwhile, 1 out. Carlos really good on pop-ups, but on that one right there,
and much easier play for either of the outfielders.
A lot easier.
He's calling for it. Then he's got to drift back a substantial amount of steps.
So here's Rios. Alex 1 for 3, and that's popped up. Sanchez again going back, making the call, and quickly 2 out. He's everywhere.
He's just a good player.
He's going to be a real good player.
He's a good player. Will turn every double play that he has to turn, and a few that a whole lot of people won't turn.
Always been the youngest player in every league he's played in, and he is going to be a real good player for a long time. So here's a tough customer right here. Escobar, Alcides takes strike 1. He is lined hard to Adam Eaton in center, popped up the second, and had a Kansas City special. What new? An infield single. One and 2 the count. He gone, and this ball game is over. So the Sox Last 6 home games, 3 with these. Kansas City Royals take the opener. They win it 4-2, and we'll be back.